I'm honestly not sure if I'm feeling the love on having gone directly to porcelain from my earthenware, because I don't really know anything about porcelain. Here are my 2 airports. I've made 5 out of this form. They're each anywhere from a week to 2 weeks out of the form. They've just spent 5 hours in a 350-degree oven to get them nice and dehydrated. And what I'm going to try to do is subject them to progressively higher firing temperatures to see what happens to this stuff. I don't have the ability to get up to 1300 C because my big can's really not in condition yet. But I do have the little can. The little can can hit, probably hit close to 1000 C. So I'm going to start progressively firing these things. I've got 5, I need 2. I don't expect all 5 to survive this process because, let's face it, I am kind of an idiot. So let's go ahead and do that and see what occurs. Now that my wood's burning down, I've got these things up anywhere from 550 to 700 C, depending on, there's one at 755. That probably qualifies as low fire. I'm going to go ahead and pour some charcoal on top of these this bed of coals now and kind of work my way up to more of a medium fire with just charcoal, and then I'll take a couple of them and try them out in the little can. It's encouraging to note that I didn't have any exploding balls phenomena this time. I think I had everything nice and dried out, so everything survived the initial heat, which was good to see and not completely expected. This is about 2 hours in charcoal. Let's take a look and see what kind of wastage we have. Here's one this is live. I haven't rehearsed this. That's one that didn't make it. Hope they didn't all do that. These things got up pretty hot. They've got to have gotten up to about 850, I would say, in the Celsius. That one's not broken. Oh, don't drop it. Let's look at this one. Once again, not broken. That's very encouraging. Okay, let's look at number 3. So I have at least 2 out of 5. That's 3 out of 5. The other thing is, remember, this stuff was stained with iron because of the way I was ball milling the sand. I assumed this stuff was going to turn out much uglier than this is actually quite white. So that one's broken too. Okay, so we've got 3 out of 5 that appear to have survived without a break. This one actually, that one's got a crack. So I think our first candidates for high firing are going to be these 2. So let's try that next. Out of the frying pan into the fire, literally. In this particular case, I don't actually have the top to the little can yet because I haven't remade it. It fell apart back last fall. I'm just going to do a little sort of chimney thing with bricks in order to give us a little bit of heat maintenance. I probably should have pre-warmed the little can because I really didn't want those things cooling off dramatically before I started heating them up again. I was worried about thermal shock. We're gonna let the little can have a good solid go here and see what we get. I'm a little concerned about my wastage. I went from 5 to 2.5, and I need 2. And since I'm already in the process of relining my big can, I may have an issue. Well, unfortunately, I can actually hear them breaking in there. They make a very high-pitched kind of spung sound. It sounds a lot like glass. It's much more sort of crystalline than the exploding balls made. Nevertheless, I can hear them coming to pieces. I really didn't do a good job with temperature management. I took them out of that hot fire and put them in the cold little can. And I really should have preheated the little can so that it didn't go from hot to cold to hot. I'm sure that didn't help. This one right here is that third one that had a crack in it that I just laid it on top of the fire, and I'm going to let it sort of gradually sink down in there and see if maybe that gradual temperature change will keep the thing from coming to pieces. I think the other two have probably gone the way of the dodo. Let's do a little post-mortem. It's the next morning. It snowed a little bit last night. This is one of the ones that broke in the charcoal. The key point on this is that it's not fired. It's hot, but it's not fired. It's still very friable. I can break it just like I could break the stuff that never went through the fire. It's also pretty much the same size as the pattern. Here's my pattern, and you can see that there's a little shrinkage, but not very much. It's pretty much close to the same size, so it didn't shrink. This is one that went through my little can. And this is fascinating. By the way, the spunging noises I was hearing were the bricks. Luckily, not the 2-year forms. Now, one of them did break in the fire, which is actually fortuitous in a way because you can actually see the line of firing right along there. And look at the outside. It vitrified just like I wanted it to. In fact, if you look, you can see that it didn't vitrify over here. I didn't uniformly heat it. So this is one of the ones that was down in the bottom. This is the other one that was down in the bottom. Look at that, vitrified all the way around. And when you listen to it, it's definitely got a glassy sound to it as opposed to this, which is one of the see, this one does not have quite that snap to it. This is the one I put on top and let it gradually fall into the heat, and it looks like it vitrified all the way around too. It also didn't deform quite as much. And lastly, you can see that this one lost a lot more diameter. It shrunk quite a bit during the firing process. In fact, if you put it up against the unfired one, you can see the loss of diameter. I was pretty sure I wouldn't be able to fire porcelain. The reason being that I haven't even bothered to ever look at all at how to fire porcelain. I figured I'd just wing it. But honestly, I did do it. Is it fine china? Well, no, it's not fine china. And it's distorted enough that I'm not going to put it in my big can. But I'm encouraged to get the big can done and try some more porcelain firing. I've actually gotten interested in forming porcelain forms, so that I'm going to try to make a top for that so I can use that as a cooking dish. If this will fire without cracking, it's going to be a very serviceable, albeit unattractive, crucible. It was one of my original slip casting forms done in porcelain rather than in the black clay that I was using. And then this one's probably my least favorite. It was my first attempt at a small crucible. And one final thought. It did discolor slightly when you compare it to a true porcelain that's manufactured, but it didn't do too badly. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to call that an episode. We'll come back later. I have other things I need to do, so I'm going to put up the porcelain for a while, but I do hope you'll feel free to like and subscribe. Tell your friends if you want. You don't have to subscribe if you don't want. If your friends don't want, that's fine too. I won't be offended. But right now I'm going to kind of put a pause on the porcelain for a while, let all this stuff get nice and dry, finish up the big can, and then I'll come back and try firing it again. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great day.